What up, though? This your brother Mike X.
My killers got them suits on like followers of Farrakhan.
And welcome to the 17 Winners Podcast, the realest podcast in the game.
I'm the jig in my city. Yeah. I'm not saying they not good. Nah. I'm just saying I'm the realest. Facts.
What up, though? It's your brother Mike X with another episode of 17 Winners Podcast. I ain't got to tell y'all how special the episode is because I do that every episode, but this time I am here sitting with my brother, a brother I actually ran into and got acquainted with in the same fight for another brother who was very influential to both of us, which makes today, like I say in every podcast, it's a special episode, right? So that's my thing, God. I don't know if you listen to my podcast, but that's a thing for me. Every episode I started off. At first, I thought I was saying it because it was like a nervousness thing. You know, when you get on the mic or when you're speaking, you kind of repeat certain things that you say. So I thought me saying this is a special episode was that at first. Then about 10 episodes in, I realized I say it's a special episode because I have been doing some special episodes, right? I've been having special conversations with people who were directly connected to my life in one way or another in my development and making me a man.
Yes.
I say all that today because I think today has been more special to me than any that I can think of in recent time outside of like the birth of my kids, the birth of my sons, right? And that was today I got to see not only one brother who was extremely influential in my life, right? Come home from up under a life sentence. But I got to see three today. I got to see three brothers who not only had life sentences when I was in prison with them and serving next to and, beside them as soldiers, right, for Muhammad, but they were also instrumental in me becoming the man that I am. And all three of these brothers have made it home. There's only one more brother that was that instrumental to me that's still in, and that's Floyd X. But man, to see Dyson X come home finally after 31 years, Rudy X come home after, I don't even know how many years Rudy X was gone. And then Malachi X, after I don't know how long Malachi, I think the brother Malachi X had been gone like 20-something years when I met him.
Yeah.
And all of these brothers to all be home, that was amazing. That was an amazing feeling to me, right? But I guess I segue that into our conversation because you and I met at a court date.
Yes, sir.
For the brother Dyson X.
That's right.
While we were trying to fight for him to get home.
Yeah.
And you was like, man, hey, brother, I'm so-and-so, I'm doing this, and that. And I was like, yes, sir, it's good to see you home, right? And it's good to see us all standing together in this fight for the brother. And of course, we exchanged information and jumped on social media and stuff. And I knew we was going to get together eventually, right? Yeah. But today was the right day.
That's right.
Right. Today was the right day for that. And I'm big on timing, being on time with time. So like, I feel like this was the right time for us to finally get together. So with all of that being said, I want to introduce my listeners to the brother Malachi Muhammad. Appreciate you coming and sitting down with me, beloved.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Or me coming to sit down with you.
I mean, it's an honor to be here. You know, you spoke about how we met and what transpired today.
Yes, sir.
You know, the most Malachi Muhammad teaches us that number 3 spoke on the 3 brothers represent trial.
Yes, sir.
And we don't believe in coincidences.
No, sir.
You know, everything that happened through the active will or permissive will of God. And it just so happened that not just you and me, but you and the 3 brothers met today under one roof, under Muhammad's house.
Under Muhammad's house,
and you're waiting for one more brother.
Yes, sir.
And most Malachi Muhammad teaches us that the number 4 represents foundation.
Yes, sir.
So everything that happens in accord to his will. And I'm honored to be here. Like I said, we could have did this months ago. It wouldn't have the same effect.
It wouldn't have the same effect.
Yes, our brother here, he's home, happy, his wife happy, shows that regardless what the enemy sends us to, Allah or God, whatever name you chose to call the creator, has the ultimate say so.
Yes, sir.
They told me I was going to die in prison. 17 years old. Gave me life without parole on one charge and 15 to life on another charge.
Yes, sir. Yes, we're going to talk about that in a second. We're definitely going to talk about that in a second. But before we even get there, the first question I like to ask is, do you remember your prison number?
And that's bad. Yes, sir. 217-805.
Yeah, so on one hand, it is bad, right?
Yes, sir.
But I don't know. Because how long you been home?
Since 2019.
So,
November
it's just been a couple years, right?
Yes, sir.
When you eventually, man, I believe we'll forget them numbers, God. Like, I believe that number, the way that was burned into us, I believe we'll be able to shake them numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
But man, it's not a surprise that it's burned into you the way it is, right? Of all of the people, this is my 27th episode. Of all of the people that I've talked to, only one has ever told me that they didn't remember their prison number, and that shocked me because I don't know how.
Yes.
When I came through quarantine, they told me that was my name.
Yeah, that's right.
And I came through Riverside. I came through a juvenile.
Same with me.
Yeah, so as kids coming through that and them telling us this is your name, and then you actually go into the system and this is the name that you, like nobody called me Michael. I hadn't been called Michael and probably until I came into the Nation of Islam services. If I'm keeping it 100, I don't think, because on the yard they didn't call me my name, right? They called me a nickname.
Yep.
And the administration never called me my name. They called me my slave name and my number.
That's right.
So I don't think I had actually been called my name until I came into the Nation of Islam. That being the case, bro, it is bad, but it ain't bad. You feel me? Like it's a reason why.
Yes, sir.
We're like this. You feel me?
It's a reminder as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What you done went through and where you don't want to go back to.
Facts.
I always says we can never say, well, we won't do it and we're not going to go back this way. Where my mind at now, I say it has nothing to do with the defense of women, children, the elderly, or my nation, or protecting preserving my life. I have no problem with that. Meaning, what I went to jail before, ain't nowhere hell I'm going back for that. So in terms of doing something that I know it to get me back in the stuff, inflicting harm on somebody, taking something from somebody, I can say 100% I'm not going back that way.
Yeah.
But somebody telling me if I see a sister or woman getting beat or a child something, I'm not going to sit by and grab my phone and record it and upload it and be like, this guy out cold.
Right.
No, like Minister Nuri said many times, he said, it's your God-given right to defend that woman. Don't know badge that the officer may have, don't know gun that the person may have, take that away from you.
Right. Facts. Man, you said a lot.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I want to highlight was your acknowledgement, because you almost said, man, I ain't never going back.
Yes.
And I had that mentality. I probably still have that mentality to a degree, but it's to the degree that you just explained, right?
Yes, sir.
But I was hit with a shock that I have not discussed in depth on the podcast yet, and I probably won't get too deep here, but I was of the mentality that, man, I ain't doing nothing to get myself in no trouble.
Yeah.
And then I found myself in trouble. 7 years out of prison. Now, in hindsight, the restrictive law of Islam is my success at all times.
Correct.
Right? So I shouldn't have had as much of a penknife on me, but I had a gun on me. And I got caught with the gun. Not because I was like endangering anybody.
Yeah.
The gun that I had on me was a gun that was for protection. I owned a clothing store. Mm-hmm. And I was like and making sure, I was carrying large sums of money, and I, of course, did my clothing store in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Trying to do it in my neighborhood, right? But of course, that comes with what happens in your neighborhood. So
Sure.
I felt the level of like PTSD around being back in my hood and being around the potential children and nephews of people I did stuff to back in the day, which triggered the gun being on me in the first place.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse that I want to make, right? Or that I would like to put out there. I'm just saying that was the course of action that I went through in my mind. It was like,
Yes.
man, I felt fear. I can acknowledge it now, right? Because PTSD is nothing but fear of something that you think in your mind. Yeah. So I felt a fear, and I reacted on that fear. Long story short, though, I ended up with a pistol case that I had to fight after having been home 7 years clean, not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Man, that changed my whole reality. That's what made me decide to. That's part of what made me decide to write my book, First 10 Moves to Federal Freedom, because I ran into that wall unintentionally and had to realize that, bro, you're not the same as the average citizen.
That's right.
You having that number on your back makes you different.
Not even that number though.
Not even that number.
Your first statement was the restricted law of Islam is our success. You don't say it sometimes.
No,
you don't
sir.
say it at nighttime. You say it at all times.
Yes, sir.
So when we deviate from that, we no longer be successful. But you say fear creeped in, and it teaches like the nation, we can't be fearful. If we fear, that's a part of our class of training to fight that fear. You know, when Mr. Farrakhan said the study gas, it was 18, rise above emotion until thinking of God. The Allah would test us where we feel more comfortable at. You made that statement, I'm not going back. I'm not putting myself in that position to go back. I said that. So Allah said, okay, really? And Surah 29 said, do men think they're going to believe and should not be tested? Surely we tried those before you.
Yes, sir.
You're not going back. I'm not going back. Okay, let's see.
Let's see.
So let's rearrange the environment circumstance. Let's see what Mike stand firm to what he said. That's part of our trial. Allah going to put stuff in front of us. It's up to us where we going to succumb or pass that. We don't believe in no mystery God. Yes. We don't believe in no spook God. Yes, we deal and we live in reality. Yes. So our trials, our success, and our failure is going to be based on our reality. So we say, like I said, how do you know you can fight? You could be in FOI class training self-defense all this time.
But you don't know if you can fight.
No.
You get punched in the mouth.
Same thing on the yard. Guys talk all this stuff. Then when they come down, they're like, damn,
where the brother go?
Yeah.
Yes,
so you don't know.
Yes, sir.
And we don't know till that moment happened how they're going to react. It teaches us in terms of not to carry weapons. So the reason I say that beyond the number, as FOI, the most honorable Malachi Muhammad told us, and you quoted that, not to carry any weapon, not even a penknife.
Yes, sir.
So forget the prison number. Once we took upon ourselves to carry a weapon, we're in violation of that. Mm-hmm. So what happens is on our own doing.
Yeah. And you know, that's one thing I have always been, at least, well, no, I can say that before even the teachers, because when I caught my case, that's how I ended up being. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because that's what a stand-up guy ended up really being, is a guy who takes the accountability for what he do. Yeah. I ain't finna tell on him because I got caught. Yeah. You got me, right? So that's always been the type of brother I am. But like, that's why when I caught the case, I was like, yup, boop, dummy, tighten up.
Yes, sir.
Tighten up. And that's what I did, right? So I spent the next couple of years all the way up to today, right? Like where I am today, tightening up, getting myself back in line with what I know.
Yes.
Right? Which is why I've been coming to the mosque more regularly. But man, we kind of jumped deep as hell into the conversation, and that ain't where I was trying to go. But that's what I was saying to you earlier, guys. Yeah. Like, I don't know how long a podcast episode is because it depends on the conversation. We might get in here and go deep in 25 minutes and then come right back up out of it. Or we might be stuck up in here ordering food or something. Like, I ain't no telling because I'm just having a conversation.
That's right.
And I'm still figuring out the conversation that I'm having because on one hand, I'm talking about, the trauma of having gone to prison.
Yes.
Whether you inflicted the trauma on yourself or not, right? Because I had an episode where we discussed PTSD in prison, right? Is that real? I committed the crime. Don't I kind of deserve to be where I'm at, right? Yeah. So I had that conversation. And I want to further that more, right? But like that's one perspective. Like you did the crime, go do the time.
Yeah.
On the other hand, and where I stand more aligned with, especially now with all of the information that I have, is the entire carceral system is nothing more but a transliteration of the slavery system. It's nothing more but making sure to put us where we need to be, based on what American I don't even want to blame it on government or society. It's like the American cultural build is based on, right? The whole build of the culture of America is standing on make sure niggas stay niggas.
Yeah.
Right? So with that being my stance, looking at the entire prison system, they arrest whites and Mexicans and Asians and everybody else, right? Because they committed crime.
Yeah.
But like when we're thinking about the construct of this thing, the criminals they were trying to corral were those that were just released from slavery and given their freedom with no skills and nowhere to go.
Correct.
And making things like loitering crime. Well, they ain't got no skills or nowhere to go. What they gonna do other than loiter? You know what I mean? So like all of that being the case, right, and all that being in a nutshell, I don't know if my conversation is to talk just about that, because I also talk about how you even got here.
Yes.
Right? You didn't just wake up one day and decide that I was going to just be a gangster.
No.
Like this comes through most victimizers or victims.
Yes.
Right? Something happened to you and you was like, that shit ain't happening to me no more. Right?
Correct.
So like, that's another angle. And then the other thing is the reentry side.
Yeah.
Because I got that too. That's a real lived experience. Yeah. Like that's not a thing that you could just lightly tread over. So we talk about all of those things here, and it can go anywhere, right? So I break all of that down because I've never actually said it on the podcast. But it's also to give you the introduction to the next question. It's like, before you even got there, because you said you came to the penitentiary at 17.
Yes, sir.
You went through Riverside where I went through.
Yeah.
What year you go down?
91.
91?
Yes, sir.
Man. So the next question I'll have for you, bro, is like, well, before we even get there, tell us a little bit about where you're from, because I was playing with you earlier and had you do it. So like, tell us a little bit about where you're from, kind of, whatever else you want to tell us about your background.
I was born in Highland Park, Michigan.
Okay.
I was raised by my
HP,
my great grandmother, who I affectionately call Grandma.
Okay.
The dynamics of our family, whereas my great grandmother, me and my sister referred to her as our grandmother.
Okay.
Then you had grandparents who raised my sister. We refer to them as my dad. We have a mother, but our mother never raised us. So I was raised by my great grandmother. She was raised by grandparents.
Okay.
So, I was around women, and I think the beauty of this, and that's why I agree when people say you raised by women, you gonna come out and be like this. Yeah, I was raised by beautiful, strong women. And that helped me in my understanding of women as I got older. So in Highland Park, she passed form when I was 15, and I had to move because I didn't want to move, but they said I can't stay in the house by myself. Mm-hmm. So I ended up living with my grandparents and my sister and my two cousins, whose mother was murdered by their father. And that's a whole nother thing, kind of find out that their father is my father. Mm. So I grew up thinking that these two little girls are my cousins, and just to come find out a few years ago that, yes.
So like that's what I mean by there's levels to this, right? Yeah. Because that alone is levels of trauma.
Yeah.
You're a 15-year-old boy, bro. You were raised by your great granny. Your sister was raised by your granny.
Yes.
And you have the levels of like where did mom and dad even go? Because I came from my parents, had their own struggles, right?
Yeah.
So you dealing with that as a child, like trying to figure out, man, why when I go dog them daddy here? Or some of us didn't have no friends who had daddies. I remember the first time I got around friends who had like daddies when I moved to Lansing. It was like, man, his daddy be taking him fishing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. I remember going home crying to my mama like, damn, why I ain't got no daddy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to have grown up with those things as a 15-year-old already, so I want to go bring it back a little bit because you said something about women being able to raise a man, right?
Correct.
I feel you. So my question is, if your father would have been the type of man that you are now, right? Do you think you would have become or went through the same things you went through to become the man that you are now?
Oh, that's a hard question. By me knowing who he is now, that is the guy that killed my auntie. Right. And me and my auntie was real close. Mm-hmm. And she got killed the year before my grand-grandmother passed. And I was supposed to be at their house that weekend. But she called me and told me that he worked at a radio station in Detroit. And she said that he's working late. I could come the following weekend. So Saturday morning come, my auntie there, because my great-grandmother, and my mother's there. She don't live, but she there. They in the living room, I go in there, they tell me like, yeah, Sandy got killed. And kind of find out he did it. Not knowing he my father at the time.
At the time, right.
Yeah, so long speed up a little bit, I had my grandparents want custody of the two children, Bianca and Amber. And so when I moved in with them, I'm babysitting them, these my cousins. And he had called to collect. I never said the call. But my grandmother, she called, she let him talk to the daughters. And I catch my case. Everybody in the family knew this. My mindset is, kill this dude. To be brief, that's where my mind was at.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find this guy.
Yeah.
Brothers writing me, he's here. I said, no, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Never ran into him. I got out in we go back. I got out in 2019. My other cousins who never had any conversation with me while I was locked up, we connected. She said, I was following you the whole time. Worried about y'all meeting up. She said, y'all was at Saginaw together. I said, when I was Saginaw, I was out a lot. I was in school building. I was helping young guys from level 1 get tutoring for the GED. You know how the joint is. Yeah. You're going to hear the name. Yeah. I ain't never heard this dude's name. And the brother told me, he said, I was a lot. Because my mindset changed years ago. About that, I said, I'm in there for killing somebody.
Yeah.
But then I have my cousins that lost their mother to their father. How would they feel if they lose their father to their cousin? And so up here, I said, my mind shifted from that. But the brother said, you said that. But how would you really, go back to what we said earlier, how would I really act if I see this dude face to face?
Right.
And my freedom is, I could jeopardize all of that. And said, I was Allah still protecting you.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, that so is.
I can't
to answer that question.
So I can't answer how.
Yeah,
because I know who he is.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. I never thought about that part of it because the reason I say that is because I believe that if my dad was just there, right?
Yes, sir.
If he was not even the father that I am, right? Because I consider myself a real active father, right? Yeah. I'm hands on with everything with my boys. If he was just there in the house every single day, you know what I'm saying, as I was going through my transitions and was able for me to just ask questions or see how he is as a man, I think that would have been a dramatic change in me, period. Yeah. And I went to the joint when I was 18. I caught my first case when I was 13. Yeah. So he could have, just been around, and that would have, because just the presence of a man in the household, I think, changes the trajectory of a young man. Because when I come in the house, it ain't, I'm bigger than my mama. I can move her out my way. I still got this he gonna still be a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's
You gotta
like
have a man, not a male.
facts.
Yes, sir.
Facts. So that's where that question came from. It's not part of my like questions,
Yes.
but it's something that I've been pondering on a personal level.
I would say yes. If I didn't, I would say yes. Because Frank has always said that regardless how much a woman loves a black boy or mother, she cannot make that boy into a man, and vice versa.
Right.
As a man, you have a little girl. You can love that girl with all your heart. You can't make this girl into a woman. That's a part of we saying having a family. You gotta have that balance.
Yes,
because that man needs, because you don't want the man to be too sensitive, but then you gotta have that balance where you have that mother to represent the feminine side, the compassion side, the mercy side, the beneficent side of God. Then you got the masculine side. So you're getting fed both.
Yes, sir.
And suppose like a lot of us we don't have that. So that masculine side we get from outside, and we don't know how to harness it and put it out right. It comes out at the wrong time against the wrong people in the wrong environment. And like a lot of us, we take that journey through the Michigan Department, what I call Department of Plantation.
Or what?
Department of Plantation.
Department of Plantation. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, all right, cool. And that brings us kind of to my where I was trying to get us to in the first place, and that is how you got there. Because I left off at you being a 15-year-old boy having all of this trauma already in your life, right?
Yes.
You caught your case for murder.
Yes.
And I say that because you went to prison for it. I make sure to not talk about stuff that people ain't go to prison for.
Yes.
Like, just for the record, I ain't on here on no gossip or nothing. I'm actually trying to work through some of my own stuff. And
yes, sir.
This podcast is almost like a program for me. It's almost like therapy for me, because this is the first time I've been able to actually talk through this shit that we go through with other people that understand it, right? Because even if you go to a therapist, you ain't never been, bro. You don't know nothing about what it feel like to walk a back 40.
That's like your spouse. And it's like saying it's like you have to, and that's not being and sound arrogant or trying to brag, but a lot of women ain't gonna understand you.
Right.
Because like saying, it comes with trauma, but as men, you don't want to keep harping on
the trauma. You know, it sound like I'm crying. Now it sound like I'm whining.
I'm like the average dude out here. And I'm not saying I'm being arrogant, meaning certain things, a lot of things that niggas out here do and go, I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so it's like going out partying, drinking. I don't want to do that. People say, you've been locked up 29 years, you're supposed to come out and just be gunning at the females.
What made you think that?
I came out and we right into a relationship. Because this is in terms of, I'm a quiet person. I'm laid back.
Man, you do got a ring on your arm.
No, this ain't a ring. This is on the, it's on the wrong finger.
Hey, no, I'm saying I feel you.
Yes, sir.
Because I understand that part too.
Yeah.
In large part, a lot of people in this day and age want to become like some level of like a superstar or something, right? Everybody want to live luxury life. I believe to a large extent, those of us who've really been in the trenches of the penitentiary, we just be wanting to have a regular life.
Yeah.
A life that I can enjoy my family, not have to be worried about bills, not be worried about, having to go back or being in danger, but just like to have a life.
Yes, sir.
Because there are people who never consider prison, right? It's never a consideration in their lives. It's never something that they carry, right? It's places in this country where people they don't even think that, right? To be able to live that type of life is all I'm trying to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I feel you on the wanting to get married. When I started getting into more professional settings and started to like be in corporate America, it sounded lame as hell for me to be talking about my girlfriend.
Yeah. We don't use that term. Like Mr. always said this for years, I don't use the word girlfriend and boyfriend, whether you're married or not. Simply because boyfriend and girlfriend is not in the Bible, it's not in the Holy Quran.
That's right.
It's not the language used in the scheme of divinity. So what is a boy? What is a girl? It's an undeveloped male, undeveloped female. Yes. So if I'm with a woman, I'm not going to call her, you my girlfriend. And I'll say, look, I'm not your boyfriend.
Yes, sir.
I'm not underdeveloped. You're not underdeveloped. So when I get with somebody, yeah, of course you're not gonna get married off the back. My
but the
goal,
intention is somewhere.
That's where I'm at. So when I move out, I'm moving up like you, my wife.
You studied the courtship manual?
No, I had it. Man, I suck. That's a whole other story.
Hey man, listen, when it came through, boy, I studied that joint.
Yes.
Because I was heavy Abel Muhammad. Rest her soul. Rest in power. The sister of Abel Muhammad. I was heavy Abel Muhammad. You hear me? All her books. I was like studying them.
Yes.
Of course, I got into them because I thought it was just going to make me the coldest guy with the women, right? Yeah. But that's her way of tricking you. Mm-hmm. Come on here, dummy. You think you finna get something slick. You really finna be taught. Yes. By the time I got done with her books, I was like busting down supreme mathematics in the way that you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, that was dope. So all right, boom. How would you say you got to prison? How would you say you got there?
It's crazy when you go through it. I didn't really look at it until I got resentenced. When the judge said, I understand your background, your history, you had a traumatic upbringing, and I see how your upbringing lets you being incarcerated, but it's not no excuse. And he said, I don't believe that you believe it was an excuse. But what that caused me to do is go back and look when my auntie was murdered. And it still affects me to this day. To the fact where I felt that if I was there, that she'd still be here. And my lawyer even asked me to, at the time, go to therapy. He's like, you young boy, you couldn't do nothing. Right. I just felt, because I supposed to been there that day, and I felt if I would have been there, she would still be here. So then, moving from Highland Park to Detroit, the west side, that time, it was bougie. And so I really didn't, the people that was around, I ain't really liked too much. It wasn't really, but that was the time where I got off into the drugs. Like in Highland Park, it was all about people racing cars, fighting dogs, playing basketball in the backyard in the alley, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on basketball on the light pole. Moved to Detroit, it's like, okay, I get introduced to the drug scene. Okay. Introduced to different type of females. So now you got, my grandparents spoiled me. But this is the part where it's like when you being greedy. They gave me what I wanted, what I needed, but I wanted more. And by my desire to want more led me down the path, start hanging out with guys. And I wouldn't qualify as I was a dope seller, because it wasn't like I was selling dope every day. It was like certain times, okay, the guy had a spot, and where the spot was set up, what number of women coming in there. The guy that owned the house, if a guy wanted some stuff, he'd get it and go out. So you have people that were stripped. You have women. It wasn't like crackhead. So I like staying. You have women coming in. They used to dance at the club.
Well, you also went at the beginning of You like the boy. It was the crack era. Like that was 91. So that was back when the crackheads ain't look like crackheads.
I was like and so me and my co-defendant came up with a dumb plan to rob a guy from an eighth of a key. Okay. I can't remember how much that price was at that time. So my math ain't that good. I went Detroit Public Food System. So
probably got names for everything.
So we had a guy to buy it. Okay. So the guy this is how stupid it was. The guy come to my co-defendant house. Well, he lived there with his other brother and mother and father. Okay. This is dumb.
This is whole house. This is whole family house.
Yeah, they had church.
Okay. They had church.
Yeah. We come supposed to make a deal, and I sit on bed. I don't know what. Next thing I know, I'm going to the kitchen and start shooting the guy. Okay. Brother ran out through 3 doors and ran out the street. And I was like, I don't know what, because the plan was to get the dope, rob him, but then do what? It's like we saying this, but it really wasn't no plan. And I'm sitting in the bed, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I went up there and shot him. I was like, I just shot a dude. And like that instantly, so my mind's going through, I'm like, dang, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And so.
And then you're 17, so like.
Yeah, and he was 16.
It's hard to come up with a full-blown plan at 17. Yeah. Your plans are short-sighted. Everything is short-sighted at 16.
That's why I say it's like one day you have a gun, But once you pull that trigger, it's like the whole stuff changed. Because it's like somebody on the other side of that.
Was that your first time, like, catching the case?
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay.
I was one and done.
It was one and done. So, boom, you caught that case. Blue trial or you took a plea?
Went to trial.
Went to
And
trial.
the crazy part, that's again, we talk about accountability.
Okay.
I wasn't accepting accountability. I would say I
okay.
was somebody else did. I was set up and, I didn't do it. I came after the fact.
Okay.
So going to prison, I was like, I didn't do it. So I felt
So
by me
you
going
damn
to
near put
prison.
your lie in your mind as being real.
I felt by going to prison, I tell the people I'm innocent, that it'd be sympathy ushered my way. So all I did was force me to make lie on top of lie. Because I had to cover my tracks.
I can understand that. I remember when I was young, one of my homeboys got arrested. We were like adult age, like 17.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, somebody made us do it. It was like, man, made you do it.
Yeah.
No, ain't nobody giving you no sympathy for that no more. You grown now.
Yeah.
You 17, you an adult in our system now. And that's how it was played. But that's crazy because that is the linchpin as to kind of how you got out and how a lot of brothers get out, right? Because I was a kid, fool.
Yeah. But even with that, my mindset changed even with that.
Okay.
Because it shows how Allah work. That's why I believe I never deny that Allah paid the person, Master Brother Muhammad. I was at Marquette. Okay. And the coordinator at the time, his brother asked, said, brother, I want to give you a lecture on atonement. And I gave a lecture prior to that. And he asked me to be lecture on Holy Atonement. And I said, how can I give a lecture on atonement? We talking about atonement, repentance, forgiveness.
And what year was this?
This was in 2006.
Okay, so after the whole Day of Atonement was originated.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And I was like, man, and I felt bold. Cause I'm saying, I going around this big lie, I done took a person's life. It bothered me all the time, but I couldn't express it.
So you're just carrying this like guilt, this shame.
So what that forced me to do, that's the first time I prayed about that crime. I asked Allah to forgive me for taking the man's life. Because I said, how can I talk about atonement, reconciliation, forgiveness, and having atone or seek forgiveness for taking an individual's life? But here I am talking about I want to fight for freedom, justice, equality, but I took somebody's life who looked like me that wasn't justified. Mm-hmm. So once I said that prayer, it's like a cloud and I was free to talk about my case. And it's still bothering me today. It's like, because the brother was 21. And I said, Master teaches, we don't judge the individual. Right. Because individuals are in transition. Right. But once that person is dead, then you put a period behind that person and then look at their life as totality and say, this is what that person did. By he being taken at age of 21, I don't know what I did. He could have been one of the best defenders of the most Malachi Muhammad. He could have been an asset to the community.
Yes, sir.
But I robbed that potential from him. Yes. And that, to me, is one of the hardest things for me as a person I have to live with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understandable. And then you had to grow up with that reality for so long, right?
Yes, sir.
Damn. So I guess from there, talk to me a little bit about like your experience going through quarantine. What was that like? How was the quarantine experience?
Oh man,
'cause you went in '91.
Playing basketball with those shoes.
Oh, with the Black State Boys. Yeah, them cruisers.
Yeah, quarantine. It's like you don't like I said. That's like the first steps. You really don't know because everybody is fresh. That's when I first met this dude. I was talking to him a lot. He was with the rap group. What's the name of the rap group? Where they did a video where they actually had guns and drugs. I think it was Rap Mafia. It was a Detroit-based group. I met. He was there, and like quarantine was quite late. It wasn't nothing. It was laid back, But I went to crazy on my 18th birthday. I rode in to Bishop Reformatory. That was totally.
How was that?
Different.
How was that?
That was
different.
different.
To MR.
Yeah, wild, loud. It's like no noise. It's like,
was it G block then, or you went straight to?
I went to I block quarantine. I went up. I think it was I-3.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember meeting a homeboy. He was Melanics. And, you know, in Mar, when you go to the chow hall, you can't sit where you want to sit.
Right.
They
You
force
gotta
you to
sit at the folks.
yeah. So I'm in chow hall with him, but I get stuck at the table with Melanics. It's like, it's your homeboy? Yeah, make long story short, they invited me to come to service. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so they kept asking me. But then I seen Troy X. He was a porter on, I think, I-4. And so, oh, no, matter of fact,
Troy X Muhammad?
yes, sir.
Okay.
He was a porter on, he was I-3 or I-4, one of them, but he was a porter on the inside. I was on the outside.
Okay.
And I remember I asked him, he gave me Holy Quran to read. And that's
So he was in the nation already?
Yes, he was already in the nation when I
Okay.
met Troy. He was Troy X at the time.
Right.
And so
I had heard about him, but he was long gone by the time.
You know, he looked
I
young
came.
and more back then. This is like 91.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing stuff, you just first see somebody get jumped on or get stabbed. Like ain't no guns in there.
Right.
So seeing somebody get stabbed, and even worse that, but seeing how these people, staff, talk to you. Like saying referring to you as a number. And that's basically who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And they call you and be like, hey, such and such, what's your number? It's like they remove any form of humanity from you. They just stripping it away. And I would say this, prison make things out here that is normal, and there's abnormal, make it normal, meaning strip search. When you first get strip search, you be like, man, yeah. Like you feel some certain way. But then, unfortunately, at the course of time, it become normal. But it's not normal for you to be told. Yeah, it's not normal for you to be next to 4, 5, 6 naked men being strip searched.
Right.
That's abnormal.
But you literally like making it normal.
It become normal.
You walk in the room and start taking stuff off right immediately without that's crazy.
And then you have another man telling you not just turn around, but
bend over, let me see it. Yeah.
So it's like that's like this place in your mind. Mm-hmm. But you have some officers be like, man, just squat in.
Yep. Yeah, those be the few. Yep.
So it's like being thrust in all of that, and then seeing, because we had clothes back then. I remember what the boy name was, Sandra, and Craig. And when y'all see somebody in pink, like tights, and I'm like, who's that? I'm seeing from the back, and I'm thinking they got the girl on the yard. I was like, man, that's a sister. Yeah. Oh, this is my first introduction.
I had the same experience at the same joint at MR.
Yeah. So you seeing all this like stuff you don't even think about while you out here.
Yeah.
You like, man, taking 15-minute showers or 10-minute showers, depending on where you at.
Yeah.
It's like, man. So like you learn how to wash up quick. It's like everything's like what you was taught growing up is out the window.
Yeah.
You in a new nervous system.
You become a new person.
Yeah.
In there, it's similar to what Nuri was talking about in his message today as far as how the making of a slave happens, right?
Correct.
Because it's essentially just conditioning. It's just, all right, if I make you repeat this pattern of behavior over enough amount of time with no break in that consistency, you'll eventually do this as another nature. That's why they call it a second nature, because it's a nature on top of your nature.
That's right.
So, that's all right. So let me ask you this: how would you describe like your time? Because how long did you do? I don't think
29 years.
You did 29 years.
Yes.
So let me rephrase, because in a bit that's 29 years long. I know I did 15 in 2 years on parole. In 15 years, I was taught, I learned, I can't remember where I learned it at, that the human body every 7 years goes through a full transition. Every cell of the body rejuvenates itself in 7 years. So every 7 years, you are from head to toe a new person, right?
Yes, sir.
Which means that process happened at least twice for me in 15 years. In 29 years.
Yeah.
That's at least 4 times that process has happened for you. So you probably had a few different instances of change. Yeah. So I guess talk a little bit about some of your progressions. Like, what were some of the things that struck change or motivated change?
I think the first, what I say about the whole day's homie, that was my second one in terms of me asking.
Well, you talking about you was in the nation. When you get in the nation?
I started my transition though as through the Melanics.
Okay, so when did you start getting involved in that? How long after you went to the gym?
In 91.
Okay, so as soon as you got in, you kind of felt your feet and found what you liked.
Discipline and
back then, the Melanics was real strong.
I like this, and the fact that it wasn't aggression towards anybody unless you crossed a certain line. It was against the police, and to me, I was like, that was in.
I always had a real close kinship with the brothers for that.
Like I got a tattoo on a Nat Turner across my chest.
Okay.
It's like I said, I never deny this man.
I definitely got to have a couple conversations with some Solars on the podcast because them my brothers.
That's my foundation. That's what shaped and molded me. But the crazy, but I was still studying the teachings through that.
And most of them brothers do.
Yeah.
Like, most of them that I know still have a close connection to us in general, right? So. All right, so you started off studying with the Melanics.
1997.
Okay.
I rode into MR second time from inside the wall.
Okay. You went inside the wall?
Yes, I went down inside. And so come back to MR, they put me in the hole, me and a co-brother in the hole, or notice of intent, claiming that we was going to stab the war and deputy war. Because prior to me getting there.
So to my listeners, a notice of intent, like y'all haven't heard me use that terminology on the podcast yet. So a notice of intent is basically an investigative warrant that's issued while you're in prison. It is issued for whatever essentially the administration decides that they want to call it. They can say that you are a threat to the institution because you have the power to organize. They can say that you're a threat to the institution because your name has been brought up in multiple instances that they have not actually caught you involved in. They can give you a notice of intent because you were suspected of an officer flirting with yours. They can literally make up whatever they feel like they think that your angle of danger could be and write a notice of intent and put you in the hole. And to my knowledge, there's nothing that you can do about a notice of intent but wait. I think they have like a 30-day time period before they have to say something to you. But outside of that, you can just be in the hole. I know brothers have been in the hole for years on notice of intents and just going from prison to prison.
I was in there for 9 years.
I was just going to say, and I assume that they only moving them prison to prison for record-keeping purposes because that would be cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes, sir.
But I digress, brother. I didn't want to go too far off of your story, but I needed my listeners to understand this as a process that happens in prison.
And there's 3 things you're supposed to do when you write notice of intent. Do an investigation. At the end of that investigation, number 1, let you out. Mm-hmm. Number 2, write a major misconduct. Or number 3, file criminal charges.
Yes, sir.
They did none of that with me. Kept me in the hole. Only thing they gave me was what they call a spawn against the ward and the deputy ward and the MR. But the spawn was based on that I cannot get out the hole until they retire. Now, even though I'm not even on the compound. No. So I ended up going to IMAX when it was Supermax, where they take all your stuff, got to send your stuff home. And so you're in a cell 23 hours a day. And you come out, you got belly chains, leg irons, thing around your waist. The officer tell you when the door's open, back out. You come out sideways, you come out front ways, you go on your ass. They tell you that one time. And so that being in that confinement, to me, changed me. Because I was catching a lot of tickets prior to that. And so it was like, now that's when I started focusing on the teachings more. And so I came out of that like a different person that I went in. Mm-hmm. I viewed things different. I viewed myself different. I said, this is how I want to move different. So when I finally got out, I was gone. IMAX opened to a level 5 because the governor at the time was Granholm. She felt level 6
like
was needed.
06, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was over there.
Yeah. And officer got mad because, they was killing guys at IMAX in level 6. Guys in chains, they step on their leg irons. Guys trip guys downstairs, they break their arms, whatnot. Mm-hmm. So when she opened up level 5, some officers left, some went to midnight shift. So this how my physical transition to Nation of Islam happened. In level 5, I started going to study group because, Melanics didn't have no more service at the time. But we still was structured. Mm-hmm. I was the assistant spiritual advisor at IMAX.
Okay.
And I was going to study group, and the brother was riding out. This when you knew he was going to ride out. So brother said he going to Marquette. He said, can you lead the study group? I said, brother, legally I can't do that. He said, because he's like, brothers here, they're not qualified to really run the study group.
Yeah.
So I asked my spiritual advisor, he's like, long as you don't mix stuff up. So I run the study group. Brothers coming in, but they're like, no, you straight. I'm like, I can't legally, if a brother, because I felt, if a brother want to process, step up, I can't do that.
I can't give him his.
No. So I'm studying, but brothers didn't want us for years. I'm running the study group.
For years, bro?
Yeah. And I ride out, come back to IMAX a few years later. Same thing, I run a study group. But this time when I come back, this when the infrastructure of the joint is mainly street organization guys.
So that brings something up that I've had a conversation about on the podcast briefly, but the more that I talk to brothers in the nation, the more it comes up, right?
Yes, sir.
Part of that conversation is I'm trying to think of how to say this because I don't want it to allow anybody to take it the wrong way. There was a gap between the elder brothers like y'all and those of us that was coming up
in
the early 2000s in the teachings. I was at one point in time very at odds with a lot of the brothers from y'all cloth, right?
Yes.
Because I was one of those up and coming sharp soldiers. And when I ride into a compound, they taking off their hat and throwing it at my feet, right?
Yes.
But then there was also the times when I'm rolling in and maybe the people is taking off their crowns and throwing them at my feet, but the brother who the coordinator saying, no, this is mine. It's mine. You might not still be qualified, but it's mine.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And I was having a lot of struggles with that as I was moving around the compound. A lot of NOIs and stuff about that type of stuff, right? And I say all of that to say, there was one point in time that I didn't understand why it was such an issue. But then as I got older, I started, brothers like Elijah, Rudy, brothers would help me to understand that, man, there was a time where we was the only ones that held posts.
Yes, sir.
So when you breaking down, we're like, man, for years, I'm in this damn position. These brothers ain't even wanting to stand up and do it.
Yeah.
I ain't even a nation brother, man. And y'all don't even want to come stand up and do it.
Yeah.
So I can imagine once you all the way stood into your post, it was like, shit, brother, I'm the coordinator.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, I feel you young brothers coming up, but you ain't seen half of what I've seen with this Nation of Islam building it here. Yeah. So I started in my later years, like giving a lot more grace to my elder brothers who I saw who either wasn't on post no more, because a thing in the joint where brothers get, I used to call them retired fruit. Brother get to the point where they be like, brother, you retired, brother? What is you doing, brother? Yeah. Where they just kind of be close to this house, but don't be all the way in.
Yes, sir.
And I started to understand, like, man, all right, I get where these brothers was mentally at. So I'm glad you brought that in.
Yes.
As a thing. That's something that I like highlighting when I get to kicking it with somebody.
I think we dropped the ball, though. Not even just the nation in general. The elders.
I think the elders,
yeah. Because I see when I came here, I was taught from the county jail. Like, you see stuff, you don't see nothing. Mm-hmm. It don't concern you, don't pay no attention. You say, calling guys B's and the niggas, it's them fighting words.
Yeah.
At the minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, no. So, going through that process, even with the nation, and when I went back the second time, now mind you, when I went back the second time, I still went the process. And I'm still a Melanic.
Okay.
And so I come back again, I take the role of the coordinator. But this time, And this when the joint is mostly filled with our young brothers from the street organizations. So in our match, they done infiltrated.
Because you say you can't mess with that was for most. That was like what, 08, 09?
Yep.
That's when the Bloods got big.
Because I was in the hole.
Yeah.
So when I get out, I'm like,
the Bloods was big then.
yeah, so I get out of the hole, it's like, this ain't doing the same place I was at. And so I'm like, man. But I never had issues with young guys.
Yeah.
And even though I was still young, but I wasn't as young back then. But I still used to work out. I'm actually, used to get the blood, GDs, Vital, we work on the yard. No problem. I ended up getting on SCG too, based upon what Lance and Control Center say. But Officer Unit say, Malachi ain't doing nothing. He out working out with young guys. I take them all. I start getting them to come to service. I said, but I'm saying y'all come to service. All that writing notes, that stuff, that's out. So y'all come to service, y'all doing the same thing that the brothers doing in terms of we doing a cycle. Every week I was giving brothers assignment. Y'all do assignment. And it was no issue. They was doing it. It was Vice Lord Blood. And we talked in terms of why he coming here, because y'all on this star. I had to break down the meaning of the 6-point star, the 5-point star, all the stuff. And so with the More Science Temple, they got infiltrated at IMAX, where basically they took over their Friday service and told the Grand Sheik, man, y'all can have Sunday. We taking Friday. Yeah.
The gangs?
Yes. The Vice Lords.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, I can't. So I seen this how they was doing, not just but live street organizations. They used the service to do that. I said, y'all ain't about to do nice like, no. So I made sure I had to go stand. I said, I can't let nobody take over our flag. So even though I wasn't registered at the time,
right?
But Buddy still had me as the coordinator. So I was doing that too. Brother came in, brother Fresh Fruit came in. He took over. We even worked together. I ain't there right now. So that was my first one.
And that was like 09?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so, like I said, my second one was about when brother asked me, this one I did get registered. I got registered officially at Marquette. And some brothers had issues with that. Prior to that, it wasn't an issue. But prior to it was like, Brother Malachi, he coming in now. Because I came in, I knew all the stuff. So when I come in, I go straight to assistant coordinator.
Yeah.
They're like, no, brother ain't been tried yet. The brother used to be a Melanic, and brother like, no, what you mean? He went through the most of it, you know. He done, my track record speak for itself. Right. So they would use my affiliation with the Melanics, because when I spoke, I said I would never deny Nat Turner. Because brothers on both sides try to say the nation don't like Melanics.
I don't understand that, because I ain't never felt like that.
I said, brother, Farrakhan spoke about Nat Turner several times. Yeah. But I admit, he never said he was a prophet.
But no. I mean,
you act like he never degraded Nat Turner.
Right.
So, like, what's the deal? So, in our laws, like law, it say with the Melanic too, and I'm paraphrasing, breaks it, with the Melanic become non-existent, it had organization where all the stuff goes through.
Right. And we one of them. I seen it. I know. That's why I say I need to have some conversation with some of my Melanic brothers, man. But if I'm keeping it real, I only know probably 2 of them. That's all here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in Detroit. I still talk a lot of them. Go to their environment to the Day of Remembrance.
Okay.
You know, so it's
man, Day of Remembrance used to be so lit. I used to love Day of Remembrance, bro. Sir. Oh my God. Yeah, man, you gotta plug me in, because I need some of the brothers to come on the podcast and have a conversation about. Yes, sir. So okay. I feel that, but now it makes more sense, your transition, and like how it started to, your self-accusing spirit was being introduced. Yes. Later on versus earlier, because although it's like a different level, even if you have been studying the teachings, right? If you ain't an FOI, you don't really know.
That's right.
If you ain't go through the 8-pack, if you ain't go through the Supreme Wisdom lessons, if you ain't been through the training, I don't care how much studying and teachings you did, you don't really know, right? So that's where that having to speak on reconciliation and had us enacted that self-accusing spirit the right way. Yeah. Because I would say that would probably be the only drawback of the Melanic science what is it, the Melanics,
Islamic Palace of the Rising Sun.
Palace of the Rising Sun.
Yes. And the concept of God, because I always believed that God was man.
Yeah.
But I had an issue with point 12. I didn't understand it.
How to break it, yeah.
But then when I came to realize, I was just, my misunderstanding one little word, appeared. It wasn't saying that Malachi Muhammad is the originator.
No.
It said Allah appeared in that person. And once I finally understood that, I felt stupid, but like I said, things happen for reasons at a certain time. And when I finally understood that, all the stuff I done studied, from the Supreme Wisdom study guides that we have at that time, Master Black Man, or he just opened up.
So yeah, that was it. The only thing that I would say was like a drawback from the Melanics was the fact that their moral compass, they didn't have that center the way that the nation did.
Yes, sir.
Because I came to the nation looking for manhood. I had been in the joint about 5 years, and I came in with it on my mind. I ain't joining nothing.
Yeah.
So I had affiliations with GDs growing up, and I also kind of had affiliation with Bloods growing up, right? Yeah. But when I went to prison, my co-defendant, my brother, was a GD. So he went right with the GD.
Yeah. And
like probably within 6 months to a year of us being in the joint, he had a position and was running your yard and doing all the time.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, was like, man, I'm not locking in with none of them niggas. I don't know them.
Yeah.
I ain't finna lock in with nobody because I ain't finna be letting nobody tell me what to do.
Yeah. I'm
going to do whatever I'm going to do. And I'm going to get my name. I ain't scared of nothing. I'm going to get my name on my own, right? Yeah. But after about 5 years of that, I started looking around and trying to figure out, man, what's next? Like, the one thing I don't know is how to be a man. So then I started looking around at men on the yard. And I looked at everybody, and I ain't going to down talk nobody, but when I looked around, I saw flaws. I saw, man, they be letting homosexuality and their leadership and all that. I don't really stand on that. And oh man, they just have anybody in there.
Yeah.
They don't really stand on that. And they hypocritical over there, and I don't really stand on that. And it was all the way narrowed down to the Nation of Islam and the Melanics. I love the Melanics all the way through my bit, like from the beginning to the end. Them brothers gave me my last birthday card that I still got.
Yes, sir.
So I love the Melanics. But what I used to see was they would do things that, even though I wasn't necessarily against doing, like gambling or like selling drugs or doing drugs or whatever, I felt like I knew it was still like wrong.
Yeah.
And them brothers with the bow ties don't do none of that stuff. And that's something I knew from the street, right? My mama had introduced me to the nation, but I wasn't really, but I had studied Dyson X.
Yes.
This was at MTU. This was about 06. So my dad was at IMAX with you.
Yeah.
I was right next door at MTU.
Yes, sir.
And I started studying Dyson X. And I'd known him since I came down. When I came down to MR, he was there. Yeah. We went over to Bellamy Creek together. He was there. Then I left to Saginaw and came to MTU. And he was there at MTU when I got there. Yeah. So I watched him for a few years, right? I ain't never seen this brother do no BS. I ain't never seen this nigga cuss. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why my young mind, I'm like, man, this nigga here, man. And I had grown up on Minister Farrakhan, right? Like I said, my mom had introduced me. She just had never, like, took the step. But I've known Minister Farrakhan my whole life. So when I started going to the nation's teachings, Dyson was, of course, the coordinator at the time. And he made Minister Farrakhan real to me. Because I could, like you said, point number 12 is, we believe that Master Fard Muhammad that Allah appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. In the same way that you were finally able to see that it's not saying that we believe Master Fard Muhammad is Allah. We're saying that Allah appeared in that person. Correct. Right? That all of that power and magnitude showed its face right here for us to be able to see that it's real. Yes. Right? Same thing happened with Dyson X and Minister Farrakhan to me. It was like, oh, you can be like solid and righteous.
Yes.
Like, ain't nobody around here punking dog. He ain't no guy that's walking around here with his head down and tail between his legs. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't one of them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he also ain't. When dog walk up, niggas put their joints down. You know what I'm saying? The gangsters don't. They treat him with a certain level of respect, and I was like, well, I want to do that. I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I got my introduction to the Nation of Islam. I started then in 06 and to you. So that's, again, when you actually get in, you get to see like, oh, okay, it's me too.
Yeah.
It ain't just him. It ain't just him. It's me too.
Yes, sir.
Like, this all is in me too. So yeah, that was valuable. Let me ask you this: what's the best book you read while you was in there?
Ooh, I would say the best of Black Man.
Mr. the Black Man?
Because I read it as Melanics.
Okay.
And I gave my first, I was spiritualized. 18 years old.
Okay.
Guess what the lecture was, though? Making a devil. Now, Melanics, they didn't believe their concept. Well, I ain't said they, but some of them believed that the Caucasian came through leprosy.
Yep, I heard that.
So I'm going Mr. Black Man. I'm basically going verbatim. Now, at this time, I don't know anything. I'm 19, 18. I don't know anything about, like, now I can explain different. And I don't know anything about DNA, RNA, hereditary, chromosome, all that. So I'll just break it down. Like Mr. Black Man, he give it to you raw
Plain
and uncut.
English. Yes, sir.
At this time, Carter City, we had service for 2 hours. I'm doing good. And brothers pulling to the side, said, brother, after the lecture, we don't believe that. And I was like, why can't you not believe that? They said, well, why we know white folks came through leprosy and the skin. And I said, no, sir. No, they didn't. Well, that was my first lecture. But it's like you giving somebody all this information with no breaks. Because, like, Mr. Black Man is raw and uncut. And I read it, I should sign my name. But at that time, I was Will X. And my spiritual father, G4, he was Caliph of the Melanics. I should sign my name, Will X, Devil Killer. You know?
Yes, sir.
And the brother said, brother, you can't be signed. You should be putting that on there.
STG.
But that's the point, you getting all this knowledge and you taking it and you don't have no filter.
Yes, sir.
You be like, oh, that's the devil?
Yes, sir.
Get on his ass.
Yes, sir.
And that's where Master Black Man, to me, it's a golden book, because to have that now compiled with the study groups, study guides, it gives that balance. Because you're able to break making them down and make it relatable, understandable individuals who don't come through the Nation of Islam.
You know what made Message the Black Man make sense to me?
What's that?
Closing the Gap. Yeah. I always, like when I read Message the Black, of course I was dumbfounded, right? Yeah. It was like, I went on the visit and told my mama, yo, you been lying to me. You don't know what you told. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so, like,
sir.
Of course it amazed me, but I think I, like most of us, understood it as babies. But when I got Closing of the Gap, I put them together. It was like the Bible and Quran. It was like, okay, this works. Yeah. Now I understand devil. And, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, all of it made sense to me.
So Color got study guys. I'm a study guy with 20. So I got 20. 20.
Was it 20? Closing the Gap is 20?
I think it's 20.
Yeah, because 21 is the...
Who is God?
New educational paradigm.
Oh, yeah, 20, yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm still...
Yeah, I closed the gap. It's crazy you brought that up. Because like saying, when you speak about like making the devil, and then you look at Closing the Gap, and the minister, when Elijah Muhammad said to all ministers, stop using the word devil. In the 70s.
Yes.
And we still use it. And I like what he was saying, that Sister Muhammad, may Allah be blessed with her spirit, she said that the most Elijah Muhammad showed us the devil without. So and the Honorable Farrakhan showed us the devil within. So, Master Black Man, you identifying this man, this is the devil. You know who he is. Now, let's deal with the real devil inside ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Because Sister Abraham Muhammad also say in a book, said, like, we use the room. If a 300-pound gorilla come in this room and you be like, That's guerrilla. That's not going to change your reality.
No.
Say you got options. Flee or fight. By saying this the devil, that ain't going to change your reality. So he said, the white man is the devil, but yet who is in our neighborhood snatching up little girls, selling dope, robbing people at the gas station? It's not the white man. It's people that are like you and I, but has the white man mind inside of them. So that's the mind. Sister A. Muhammad was talking about the mind wars.
Yes, sir.
So it's the mind that has to be attacked. We're not dealing with color no more.
Right.
Because like I said, man said, the white man died today, we're going to have the same problems tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's real. That's real. Do you believe people can get better in prison?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I did. I know people. It's like when you going in life, same thing with COVID. It's like when you going so fast in life, and some guys be like, look, before I destroy you, I'm going to sit you down. Now it's on you whether you're going to learn. People say, oh, y'all go to jail, be a Muslim and all that. So what?
Well,
I went to jail being a Christian.
Question. That was going to be my next question.
How many people go to jail being a Muslim? I went to jail, prison. It said Christian. I came out a Muslim. So if I'm coming out better than I went in, I owe that credit to Allah who paid the person from Muhammad. Even though I made this transition to as a Melanics, but it's still embedded from Allah.
Facts.
So Islam, that saved my life.
Yes, sir.
It gave me opportunity to live another life. After the judge said, basically said, without saying it, but based upon our sentence, you're going to die here. But like the Holy Quran says, they may plan, but Allah is the best of plans.
What was your actual sentence?
The first one, it was life without parole. And the second one was 15 years to life. And they found me not guilty of the gun.
Yes, sir.
Even though that second charge didn't really matter, because that first one was
life.
Yes, sir.
The reason I asked if you can get better in prison, because I believe partly I agree with you, partly in the sense that look at me, of course.
Yes, sir.
But then at the same time, look at me. I'm not the norm. You're not the norm. If there's 100 of us, 96 of us got fucked up worse while we was inside. Mentally, spiritually, sometimes physically.
Yes.
Those 4 of us that come out shining and are smarter and sharper than those people who ain't never been before and all of that, I think that narrative allows part of the what's going on to continue. Because they'll get out and people will point to people like me or you or others who have had successes and say, see, when you go to jail, you need to get like that. Yeah. When the reality is, bro, I had another level of ingenuity, of willpower, of knowledge. I had a few extra things, talent, support. I had a few extra levels that helped me level up.
Yes, sir.
Where most of my brothers that I looked around that didn't have that. You know what I mean? And that's even inside of the service. Yeah. Because that's why when you go, some of us go to compound, they automatically say, oh, you the coordinator, brother. Yeah. Because most brothers is Christians in Islam. Yes. They don't really know the teachings enough to be able to actually lead and not just lead, but follow accurately enough to lead accurately, right? Yes. So I say that to say, yes, it's possible. I agree that it's possible to get better in prison. But by and large, I don't believe we get better in prison. I think we get worse. I think, man, brother.
It's a majority? Yeah, because that's the way it's designed. And I was talking to a brother today. He's locked up in Atlanta, in Georgia. We was talking. And we was going with the difference between the Michigan prison and the Georgia prison system. And like common denominator is there's no such thing as rehabilitation. And I told him, I said, brother, once they put the prison complex system on Wall Street, it went from being a place of rehabilitation to punishment. I said, because white folks ain't going to invest in nothing, they're not going to see no return. So if the prison complex is on Wall Street, how does it remain there? You got to have people filling up these prison systems. I say you got COs. 99.9% of them, let me flip that. 1% of them, when they tell you go out there and stay out there, mean it. I said, because if you look at it, we are being pimped by the COs.
Right.
I said, because of our ignorance, we putting food on the table.
Right.
We putting clothes on their back. We putting a roof over their head.
Mm-hmm.
So if the other 99% of the officers be like, when you get out there, stay out there, be successful, and help stop the recidivism rate, what's going to happen?
You're going to lose your job, your security.
So their main priority is themselves,
Yes,
self-preservation.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So it's a business. So when I went in there, we had college courses. But then citizens, taxpayers got upset, said, why are we paying these people to go to school? Dummy, you want us to come back out worse than we went in. So now the college stuff gone. You want to rehabilitate yourself? You got to come out your pocket and do it yourself. Mm-hmm. So like you mentioned, individuals that don't have the luxury of not just going to the nation, but being consumed, what I mean, assuming by the teaching, let it affect them, flip them, change the way they think and they behave.
Yes.
And you have no support system. And that's key.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, a lot of us know, especially if you got a long sentence of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, then people that was here is no longer here.
Right, right.
And so you dealing with that, and then when you get out there, you have no social skills.
Yes, sir.
So you in an environment, you've been locked up 30-some years, and your family gone, your friends, so-called friends gone, everybody gone. Well, get out there, get a job, get a house, and you on parole.
You're on parole.
You go out here in a world that moving like this, and last time you was out, they still have rotary phones. They
Yes,
have
sir.
buses.
Yes, sir.
There's no programs in there. When I had a certificate in computer literacy. That stuff's so outdated.
So outdated. So this computers don't even look like this no more.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they do it out like they're doing something.
Exactly.
So like if that's why I feel that it's our duty to come up with a program to help them. That's why my program, a great way, I felt and feel that reentry, the whole process must start in there, not till you get out. And it shouldn't be no 30 days later. If I've been locked up 30 years, I got all type of issues. Whether I got a high sexual freak nature, I drink, smoke, I got anger issues that never was dealt with. Oh, parole about to let me go. What did it tell you? Oh, go take this class. For 30 days, we're going to let you go. Mm-hmm. If I got all this, if I got anger issues for over 29 years,
been here 29 years.
Ain't no 30-day course going to change that.
So I've been talking about that. I'm working with my semi. I've been working on this thing called the Prison Programming Providers Table, right?
Yes.
And what we basically do is come together and talk about different strategies of getting programming implemented and what programs exist, trying to change the culture of programming in there, right? And one of the things we've been discussing is full-term programming, which in my dream, in my vision, and mind you, this is in the event that prison has to exist, right?
Yes.
My number one is I don't believe prison necessarily has to exist in the way that it is. But if prison has to exist, then I believe that from the day that a person gets incarcerated, there should be programming.
Correct.
And there should be programming for everything that a person may need. There should be programming, like you said, for sexual dysfunction, for drug dysfunctions, for traumatic issues that people go through, right? And you should be going through programming or have access to programming from the time you go until the time you come home.
That's right.
That way, you can be working on yourself actively with the initiative being put on you from being in prison, right?
Yes.
You get, I don't necessarily mean you get extra time off, but like you might be able to get to have yard or whatever.
Yes.
And if not, because you know how it is when you ain't got a prison job, they take your yard.
Yeah.
Let's get some programming that's actually going to help to build people and let them have. So I like your idea of that, man. You probably should come to some of them programming meetings that we do too. I'll tie you into that.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
For sure. Because you got some great ideas on there. And there's a quote in the criminal justice sector it's like those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution and furthest away from the resources. Right? So
I heard that part. I ain't heard the end part. You threw me with Luke when you said the last
they
one.
usually don't say the last part.
Yes.
But that's the reality of it. It's like
Father
this
from
type
the
of work.
resource.
We're usually the furthest from the resources. We ain't got the money to fix the problem.
That's right.
But we know what the hell needs to be fixed for the most part. Right?
Yeah.
We might not have the professional technical skills to do it all, but we know where we need help at. Right? So that being said, that's why I like to build with us formerly incarcerated towards these type of objectives of like filling the gaps that we know exist for us. Especially with my philosophy that prison ain't just landed on us, right? We ain't just decided to go, everybody just decided to go to the joint, right? I grew up in a condition that made it make sense to do the things that I did.
Yes, sir.
That led me to prison. I ain't just woke up as a baby and said I was going to be
prison.
You feel me? So,
Mr. Ferguson teaches us that it's social engineering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me ask you this. What's the scariest thing you seen in prison? Or what's the scariest thing that happened while you was in there?
I ain't say scariest. I'm not saying it's bad. That you see so much, it's just like, it become like, okay.
Facts.
And so I can't say what's the scariest. I would say with me, I wouldn't say a knife fight because I didn't have one at the time, but it was a situation in Melanics and we had a war with the Mexicans. And I remember I had a Red Wings coat on. I'm on the yard. This one I just rolled in to inside from MR. And I think it was on, so at that time, when you back then, you can't just ride in and go to service. And you got to write the chopper and wait. Yeah, so I'm on the yard by myself. And a couple Mexican guys, called me on the phone. I seen them coming. And the knife went, but like I had the coat on and it cut my coat. And I was like, then they took off. But it was like 5 years. I was like, I got hit. But then I'd open the coat. He was just the coat. He was just my first time. I was like, these Mexicans, I ain't funny. But then I was mad for 5 years that it wasn't no war all over. It was just injustice. And that's what pisses me off. Be like, brothers that I wouldn't put abreast of what's going on. So while they in service, I'm on Cooper Field Yard at the time. I went, the small yard, Cooper Field Yard. And that's when it happened. And I think for me, that was the scariest moment in terms of with mine. So I done seen people, unfortunately, get killed. I've seen people get stabbed, some people get stomped. So it was like back then, it's like back in the all through the 90s, because it's like this was the type. But I see more fights later on, which is crazy. But back then, it wasn't as many because people did respect certain boundaries. But like when we talk about the elders and the youngsters, how that gap, because we didn't teach or try to teach the youngest one. So when I seen that, when that environment shifted, it was like every day. Even people outside on organizations. You had people, bloods fighting bloods, varsity fighting varsity. It was so much chaotic stuff going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's real. And I guess when I asked the question of the scariest thing in prison, right? Yes. I identified with your perspective of like, man, I don't know. But that's what I was saying earlier about the podcast being like therapy.
Yes.
Because I don't think I really internalized any of the fear that I experienced while I was in prison. Yeah. Until I started having these type of discussions on the podcast, because I, like you, even if I did feel fear, I pushed through it. Yeah. Because bravery is to do it in the face of fear, right? Yeah. So I've always been brave enough to, all right, if I'm scared, I'm still finna move, right? Yeah. I can't stay here scared. I ain't gonna say nothing, right? Yes, sir. So, but in recent times, probably over the last year or two, I actually have been exploring like, damn, well, wait a minute. Well, how did I get here? I was afraid, right? So like, I remember the first guy I seen get popped at MR. I was on the yard and a guy was, I want to say this one was, the guy was on the phone, at the end phone, and I was like in the middle phone, which that taught me the lesson not to use the middle phone, use the side phone. Because I want to say dog was like on the middle phone, but like closer to the end instead of being on the edge phone.
Yeah.
And they caught him in there, and man, got to butchering him inside that phone. And I remember telling my mom on the phone, like, Mom, I ain't supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be at Baldwin. And she was like, baby, I told you, you keep on. I ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. After that, I never told her nothing else happened in the joint. What the fuck she gonna do about it? She can't do nothing about it. I gotta handle this.
Yes, sir.
And that's what it became. But I say all that to say, I think that was one of the scariest times just because I was so fresh.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I remember the first time I saw a guy really get toe up. Like I was walking and the Melanic brother grabbed me, my dog Country X. We was coming from breakfast. You know that breakfast at MR is dangerous.
Dangerous, yes, sir.
So we coming back from breakfast, man. It's like it's a little bitty Mobite guy, man. He was such a little guy. And the brother that he was getting on was so tall, man. But he climbed that brother and stuck him in his head, and the knife got stuck. He yanked it out and just kept working on him, and dog was fighting back. And it was like 3-4 Mobites that jumped in, stabbing him. I was like, oh, man. My guy, Country X, I had almost walked into the stabbing blind. Because, you know, you just be walking and do. And the thing about the joint, and this is why that was scary to me, because that was the first time I saw it, like, happen, and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you get adapted to the joint, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
You might not know who into it, but who.
No,
but as soon as you get to the yard, somebody's going to get popped.
Yeah.
And you just go you find your corner to make sure it ain't you.
Yeah.
Right? But this, I was so new and so blind. My dog, I just like, they walking through the doorway and I'm almost like right next to the tall guy. I don't know him. I don't know nobody else. And as soon as they go to whack him, my dog grabbed him and pulled me back. And like, as soon as I'm getting pulled back, I like turn to look at who grabbing me and turn back and they is on. They tearing him up. I was like, wow. So, like, I've seen a lot more stuff, right, than that. That wasn't, I don't think that was even the most graphic that I've seen, right? I done put in my own work that was kind of decent, if I must say so myself.
Yes, sir.
But that was scary to me because I was so new. And I'm like, I remember, like, dog, I ain't as gangster as I thought I was. Like, in the streets, I was a guy. I done did everything you done did. I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? This is my mind state for any street guy, right?
Yeah.
I done did it all. I done put in all of the work that you can put in. But when I got to the joint, I met guys that did all of the work that I had did and then had no feelings about it. I had met guys that did all the work that I did and didn't plan on stopping. Then I met guys who did 10 times the work that I did and had no qualms about it.
Yeah.
Like, people just used to give you $2,000-$3,000 to kill people? And that's just what you used to do? Oh, shit, I ain't no gangster. I'm not that. Yeah. He's a gangster. I'm not no gangster, bro. Like, I was a bad kid who was making bad decisions and was kind of following bad examples.
Yeah.
This fool here is a serial killer. And he ain't got no problem with it. Like, this is a lifestyle for him, right? So that was a different level for me.
Yes, sir.
That was one of the things that made me like, oh no, the joint. Because when I came down with 16 to 40.
Yeah.
In my mind, that was life. Until I actually because I came down hanging with guys who doing life too. Yeah. Until I got to hanging with them, it was like, oh no, this ain't life. I ain't got life. They got life.
Yes, sir.
So I learned a different thing then. What was the biggest lesson you learned?
Biggest lesson? I would have to say, to me, accountability.
I respect that.
That, because I carry that from acknowledging, asking Allah to forgive me for that, and forgiveness of other. Because when I got resentenced, back in 91 when I got sentenced, they asked, his mother she feared is the appropriate charge. She said the electric chair, which is understandable. I took the life of her son. Fast forward, when I got sentenced, she said, I understand the process. I have no problems with it. I said, I believe he served enough time. I just said, I don't. I said, I forgive him, but I can't forget. And she said, I just hope he learned his lesson, that don't resolve issues or do stuff involving a gun. Then my lawyer asked me, she said, how do you feel about that? I ain't know what to say. I wasn't expecting that. And I said, but that internalized me think about forgiveness. That if this woman could forgive me for taking the life of her son, I had to be better in my life of forgiving people who had this telling me for stuff way less. And to me, even to this day, that's my biggest challenge and struggle in life. Because I'm big on loyalty and trust. Even from the joint, it's like, I feel you betray me, violate me. I ain't gonna say, fine, I just cut you off. I ain't gotta deal with you.
Right.
And with me, that's my struggle right now in terms of, because now it's like, I won't say nothing to you. And I'm like, man, did you? I'd be like, no. Then they throw me, well, then you said the victim mother forgive you. And my response would be like, I'm not there yet. I'm not. I don't. Am I wrong? But it's real, man. But I understand what they say. But like, it's like something be like, because my thing is, I don't want to push myself on nobody, whether it's family, friends, whatever, who don't want me in their life. Yeah. And so if they do certain things to cause that gap, I'm gone.
You don't want me here. I feel you. You got to grow, though. Yes. I will give you that. I'll give you the grace of, I believe that that's a feeling that you brought home from the joint.
Yes.
I believe that you'll get past, because I was like that too. Yeah. But at this point, I'm understanding a lot of times they don't even be knowing what they're doing. These people be blind as hell out here, especially when you have sight. Yeah. They be blind, bro. They be doing stuff they don't even know they doing. Yeah. So I'll give you that. What's missing from reentry? You touched on it a little bit with your program, but what's missing from reentry? How long we got? Right.
And I was blessed to have a reentry team.
Okay.
Meaning, so I had a lawyer that focused on the criminal aspect, then had a team of lawyers who just dealt with the reentry.
Okay.
And I think that is gravely missing. Meaning, like, in every city, you have offices of criminal justice, lawyers, attorneys, public defense office, but there's no reentry officers, meaning teams of people that's focused on reentry. So when you get a lawyer, you got a reentry team because you need that. Because a lawyer not concerned about their job is to get you out of here. Yeah. They might give you say little stuff, but they don't really got concerned about
your life after this.
Yeah. So that's what is needed. Somebody there, and I don't believe, like I said, you got like 5 years. If you know you're outdated, like let's say like with juvenile, ours came like that overnight. So we had to hurry. Okay, I was blessed to get a reentry team, but so like you're outdated. You got 5 years. That's where your stuff will start. And with reentry team will work with you in every respect, from like financial stuff, like a lot of stuff we need. Whereas understanding how to navigate the computer, everything on the computer, housing, employment, make sure you got all your documents, and also addressing, like saying, the mental aspect. Can nobody go through what we went through, where this is 30 days, and don't have some type of impact on them? Because that's not a normal environment. Right. And that need, because like I say, if it's not addressed, like as men, we hold stuff in. And it may not come out at our spouses or our family, but it'll come out on somewhere else. Or if we even continue to internalize it, it's slowly, I believe, aging our process, slowing us down, because there's so much in us that we're not bringing out and dealing with.
Yes, sir.
So it's a lot that has to be done that can be done. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we got a lot of these non-profits out here, I feel, that's out here not really, don't have our best interests at heart. They get a paycheck. And they're not doing a damn thing substance in terms of reentry. And my whole thing, reentry is something that has to be done in the streets.
Yeah.
If this is my office, I can't sit up here no 8 hours talking about I got reentry. Only time you see me is at events.
Office. Yeah, or at events.
Yeah. So no, I don't. No, so them and that type of stuff, them type of people have to be pushed out the way, and we need more people in terms of that. And the bad part about that is individuals who went through this process. It's not individuals who went to college and say, you know what I'm gonna do? Oh, I want to help people. It's men and women who went through the same stuff we went through, but it being backed by individuals financially who haven't went through what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part that had to be pushed out, and then some type of system that needed to be put in place. Okay, these are the steps, and if the individual want it, of course they'll take it. If not, you can't make nobody take it. But I says that had to be embedded. I think it should be embedded through the MDOC in terms of like put on everybody J-Pay. So this is the resource, not that stuff they give you outdated resource. Call this number, and when you call, it's no longer in service, or they don't have the type of resources.
For sure. I think this is my last question. Guidance, attention, motivation, and education. I took that from Wallow from $1 Million Over Game.
Yes, sir.
That's his acronym for game. So I asked that question right now in my podcast because hell, I like it. Especially I'm talking to somebody like you, got some game to give. Is it any free game you want to drop to the listeners?
I quote my favorite scripture I say read is my orientation.
Okay.
And the scripture I use out the Bible that I put on my Facebook page, it says bad company corrupt good habits.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I live. I swear my life is quiet because I work inside the jail, which is loud. I do security, which is a loud environment. But personal life, who I hang with, is quiet because I don't hang around people because I need to hang around people. If we're not in the same, we don't have to be the same thing, but we don't have certain principles that's lined up. I don't hang with you just because I want to be with somebody and hang around somebody. Because like me saying that if I'm a recovered alcoholic and I'm pushing to find a call, and I said, oh, there's some brothers and sisters up in this bar. I go in a bar and talking to them.
The brothers and sisters in the bar.
Yeah. Eventually, that environment, that's not the environment that conduces to me.
Right.
So go back to saying that bad company corrupt good habits. Eventually, I could be strong. But if I consistently going there, that type of stuff going to roll up, and I slowly start reverting back to my old self. Yes. So it's not saying you can't go to a certain place. You got to go where people at. By any time on the bar, meaning the streets. Yeah. You don't go there and hang out. You go there, you talk to your people, you give them alternative to what they doing. But you got to be real about it.
And then you move on.
Yeah, but if you having people around you and you knowing that what they doing is potential to be detrimental to your development of what you got going on, regardless how you feel about that person, you have to move way back to general orders. Allow no one to commit a nuisance order to your post. Yes, so you got a 17-winner podcast, and you see dude over here is doing all type of stuff, knowing by you hang with it could bring negativity or worse, some type of negative or illegal or dangerous stuff to your post. As a man, you got to be like, no,
that ain't that.
And come with reentry. When we make that transition, that you have to have a plan. And I always say A, B, C. Or maybe D. Because the most part, if you have a plan laid out, 9 times out of 10, that first plan is not going to fall through.
Right, but having a plan at least gives you something to work from.
Yes.
Not having a plan gives you nothing.
You got to have a backup.
Yes, sir.
And be willing to not accept, but understand rejection.
Yes, sir.
Because you're going to face that with this job, employment, because of your record. Housing. Because of your record, you're going to face that. So when you face that, don't let it deter you. Use that as a motivation to go on. Yes, and the last thing, and the sister pointed out to me, that I say this, that also need to be included with reentry, entrepreneurship. They teach us, get out, get a job. Factories hires all type of factories. Good money. But in years, that stuff wears on your body. But the prison does not teach us anything about entrepreneurship. To get out, build your own, start your own business.
Yes, sir.
That should be a person's main goal. Not to get out from one prison. Basically, a job is another prison. You're doing the same thing, the same day, same time, getting the same check from the same person that they could take away from you whenever they feel like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man. I don't think I need to close that up with nothing, man. I appreciate your time, Black man.
Appreciate you bringing me
this
here,
is a
bro.
beautiful episode, a beautiful conclusion to the day. I'm about to get my butt on this highway. So with that said,
Yes, sir.
free the real, man. Continue listening to 17 Winners Podcast.